According to a government statement, the illegal occupation continued for 8 hours. The incident adds to tensions between the two countries after the U.S. military struck a boat that it claims was carrying drugs from Venezuela.
The Department of Defense calling this a provocative move that was designed to interfere with our counter-narco-terror operations, that statement reads. So we, of course, have heard from the President and the Secretary of State. Yeah, this was likely in response to that lethal strike that the U.S. took on drug cartels, alleged drug cartel members, killing several individuals.
19 minutes. That's how long Los Angeles would have had if a Gene class had launched. At 200 meters, 4 knots, the Chinese Type 094 sat inside a kill window, and the Navy knew it. This is the story of how USS Pennsylvania locked a Mark 48 loadout and used DARPA's Ghostfish to pull a 99.7% signature match before a single missile tube opened. You'll hear the unencrypted data burst, the so-called controlled capability demonstration, and the line that froze every console. Peace is maintained by those who can end it. What would you do? Hold fire or fire first? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. A nuclear sub sits quiet at 200 meters. Condition 1 slams through the boat. Why flip the switch before a single tube opens? The contact chain lights first. A cold line hums on the ocean floor, and a low-noise smear pops off California.
Venezuela is accusing the United States of violating its territorial waters. The country's foreign minister claims a U.S. warship intercepted and boarded a fishing vessel on Friday.
Busy day here at the Pentagon, another busy day here at the Pentagon, Chanel. So this, what we're seeing, as Willie pointed out, this is an escalation, and we got that first. We broke that story last night. Then we got the confirmation from the DoD.
A higher level of tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela with this lethal strike that took place earlier in the week, but the U.S. seemingly indicating that they will go after more alleged drug cartel members.
It's not loud. It's steady and thin, like a pencil mark on a dark page. The bearing routes to Pennsylvania, already on silent patrol. The watch hears it in their headsets, not a whale, not a trawler, not friendly. The navigation plot shifts. Routine fades. Weapons check begins. On sonar, the trace hugs the noise floor. It behaves like a high-end hunter but carries the weight of a missile boat. No navigation pings. Instead, an odd active sweep, a structured ladder of tones, cuts in at set intervals. It's not for finding seafloor. It's for calibrating something that must work on the first try. You don't hear chatter. You hear discipline. Now the geometry. For knots at depth holds a lane, keeps cavitation down, and keeps time predictable. Stay inside the box and your missiles don't need to bend their path much. JL-3 Reach puts West Coast cities inside a short sprint, and boost happens over minutes, not an hour. 19 minutes matters because you need 3 things fast: alert civil defense, position missile defense assets for a probable arc, and line up intercept math while the first stage still burns. Every minute you spend guessing is a minute you bleed from warning, from decision, from survival. Ghostfish takes the raw feed and builds a fingerprint. It isn't magic, it's math stacked on memory. It fuses bow, flank, and towed array returns, then hunts for the tiny tells, the hum a hull makes under load, the pulse of a reactor pump, the blade count and the microvariations in shaft speed. Put those in order, compare to a deep library, and it doesn't say, maybe. It gives a match score. Tonight, it lands on a Gene class. High confidence. High consequence. Inside the control room, the air shifts. The torpedo room pulls Mark 48s to ready. The crew moves like a drill they never want to use. Fire control plots intercept solutions not for a fishing boat but for a target that can end cities. The captain stands in the squeeze between law and war. A preemptive shot solves his tactical problem and creates a strategic one you can't take back. So he holds the wire tight and rides the data. Those sweeps keep coming. They don't map the bottom. They don't time a transit. They walk across frequencies with a cadence that lines up with pre-launch checks. Think of it like a conductor tapping a baton before the downbeat, regular, precise, and meant to pull every section into sync. That's the tell. Navigation pings are crude and short. Calibration sweeps are layered and long. Different purpose. Different risk. Meanwhile, the command net tightens. The Pacific grid shifts posture, moves assets, and trims the lag in the pipe. The boat sends up the request for rules clarity. The answer rides back coded and cool: maintain contact, hold fire, sustain readiness. The target maintains a near-launch profile. Speed steady. Depth steady. Pattern unchanged. You feel the timeline shrink. Ghostfish pushes its verdict. 99.7%. That number lands like weight off the trigger. You can lock. You can load. And you cannot shoot. Deterrence works when you can see the other side with enough clarity to bet your life on restraint. That's the leverage here. Certainty buys minutes. Minutes buy peace. For the next breath, the ocean gets quieter. Cavitation stays low. The sweeps pause. Consoles hum and the crew keeps eyes on the trace. Then an unencrypted burst rips straight through the water, loud, plain, not subtle. English words hit the net, claiming lawful navigation and no aggressive intent, asking for distance while they complete technical evaluations. Screens lag. Fingers freeze above keys. The near-launch profile softens. The lane that looked like a firing path turns into a standoff within arm's reach of catastrophe. Noise equals war. Certainty buys peace. A 99.7% ID did the hardest work. It gave seconds back to leaders and kept fingers off triggers. Ghostfish cut the fog, fused the arrays, and killed the guesswork under pressure. That narrow gap between math and fear is where restraint lives. What would you have done in that control room, shoot or hold? Comment your choice below, and subscribe if you want the mindset that wins standoffs without firing. Your call defines your odds the next time steel meets silence. Peace stands on thin steel and cold math. Next time, we map the grid after this night, and the Pacific it reshaped.